as 2024 starts, let's say, what would be the few pointers you would give to someone, let's say every morning, like a routine to repeat in order to improve themselves?
First and foremost, I would say gratitude. Second thing, if there is maybe one or two things that you want to change about yourself, this is a one-time exercise, okay? You write it out as it is. I set my alarm because I want to wake up early, and then when the alarm goes off, I sleep in, I don't get to the gym, and then I feel terrible. So you write it out in great detail. Then you burn that paper, and now you rewrite that statement how you want it to be the situation.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Real Talk. We got George Moly, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. So, first day back, and we got the best person to change your mindset, I guess. So George Moly is the founder of Wake Up Call. I used to go there. And Pep Talk, and speaker, author, and a mortgage broker for 20 years.
Are we missing anything else?
No, that's good for now. I'm a dad, I'm a husband.
Okay, that's important.
A friend to many, a son, a brother.
There
Love
you go.
that.
Yeah.
Amazing. So I actually met Joe about, 3 years ago. It was during COVID. I started doing the 5 a.m. calls. I saw it on someone else's page, reached out, joined, and
Tried to recruit everyone you knew.
I recruited a lot of people.
Yeah,
Joe
you
knows.
did.
I recruited
Yeah.
a lot of people.
Yeah.
I was waking up religiously every day,
Oh,
5
I know.
a.m.
Oh, I
It
know.
was actually before 5 a.m. It was 5 a.m. Yeah, you had to be there because Joe a couple of times called me. I'm like, oh, what? So it was amazing. Still is. They're still going. It's more structured, I would say. You got a lot of merch going on too these days.
Oh, love that.
Vibrate higher, a lot of reminders
Should've wore it.
through the merch.
Yeah, well, I thought you were gonna come with the hoodie right now.
I didn't know if I was coming as a mortgage broker.
Well,
an
gifts
author,
are
as a
always
wake-up
great.
call.
We would
Yeah,
have loved. I would
absolutely.
have loved a hoodie.
I'll send you some
Yeah.
stuff.
Maybe we'll get a couple of Vibrate Higher ones. I love those.
It's a late Christmas gift. It's okay.
Yeah, late Christmas gifts.
Or really early, depends how you look at it.
Well, no, because we're filming.
Yeah, but it's like, but maybe it's for next year. It's 360 days away.
No, I'm not waiting that long. By then it'll be redesigned, reprinted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so tell us, how did you actually get into the whole mindset coaching, and how did the 5 a.m. club start?
Well, I got into the mindset coaching without wanting to become a coach. I just wanted to share information that I had heard. So I've been a mortgage broker now 20 years. At the time, 16 years, 17 years, frustrated, always getting mediocre results. And then I went to see Bob Proctor at Paradigm Shift in LA. And when he started talking, everything just started to make sense. And so I became obsessed with learning, studying the things that he was talking about. And the more I studied and got to know myself and understand the mind, and because we all hear, we've all got the quotes on Instagram and on our walls, right? You become what you think about, as within, so without. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. It sounds great, but we don't really understand it to the level that we need to actually live by that positive mindset. It's not enough to have just the surface level positivity. You got to know it at a root level. So the more I studied, the more I saw the results in my life change, and then I started sharing it with a couple other guys. We'd get on a call in the morning and we'd read books together. It sounds weird, but it's a lot cooler than it sounds.
I've been part of it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, we'd read for like 20 minutes, and then I'd go back and highlight the main points and really understand it more deeply. They started to get life-changing results. And they started asking if they could bring people on the call. And for a couple of years, I said no. I was like, no, it's our dynamic. I don't want to change that. We can speak openly and stuff. And then finally, I did a workshop. I was asked to speak in Cancun. And then I did a workshop. And at that workshop, I accidentally invited the people at the workshop to join us on the call. So 4 or 5 people joined. And then from there, it just grew like wildfire. Like people were so excited and wanted to share it with all their friends like you did, right? Asking people if they want to come on this call. And then COVID hit, and I guess they had nowhere to go at night. They had nothing to do in the morning. They were probably lonely too, so coming up to the Zoom call with other people in the square, it was an incredible community. It's an incredible community. And and those people started to share life-changing results. Like I don't know how long you want me to go with this answer. I know it's a short question.
Go for it, yeah.
But we have like a 64-year-old man who had been drinking for 42 years.
Right.
Had lost relationship with his daughter, right? Didn't get to walk her down the aisle.
Oh, wow.
And after a short time on the call, he gave up drinking. I think he's now 3 years sober.
Huh?
He's got an amazing relationship with his kids. So it helps people in their personal lives. I've had people open businesses. You saw Chloe and Anna did with the gratitude journal. Gets people taking action where they otherwise might not have, right? And even just for the mental health part of it.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, when we say mental health, people automatically assume we're talking about mental illness. Mental health is like physical health. You go to the gym to work out your body. You know what? This is like a gym for the mind. It's working out your mind. It's to be healthy in mind. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's not, because, you know, in the beginning, I was a little bit shy about saying I was going to these speakers or whatever, but.
Do you think you were shy because you were a man? Because us women, we chit chat about this all the time.
I was
Our little
actually
feelings and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Serious.
Well, I think 80% of my members are women. They're more open. They're more intuitive, I would say. And I don't know if we're allowed to generalize like this, but for me, I was actually probably surprisingly more open for a male than most.
Okay.
Willing to share, and because the more I shared, the more I got. Right. The more I spoke openly, the more I got back. So, but yeah, I do find that for sure.
Well, for sure. I mean, like I remember when I joined it, I was super stoked every morning. For the content was great, the conversations were great, and I never thought I personally would be excited to get up for something.
Yeah, you were
like
really,
that.
really excited.
Yeah, and I like.
Why'd you stop?
We'll get to
I got
that.
you. I got you.
We'll get to that. But
Keeping him accountable.
I remember, like, I mean, I think you also remember, like, I would be up sometimes till 1:30, 2:30.
Oh yeah, that's I wanted to
I would
say.
wake up, my friends would be like, okay, what's going on?
Like you just went to
Like,
bed
you
and
just
now
went
you're
to
going,
bed, and I was like super like excited, and I still am, but I mean, like, things changed. Like, that was COVID. Even during the day, we wouldn't go out. Like, a lot of showings had stopped. But I think it was a phenomenal
He would
experience.
highly recommend.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
probably would go back now.
I think just by waking up earlier in your day, you'll experience life-changing results, right? Like you're going to do so much more. You're going to start with the right state of mind, because your state will dictate the rest of your day.
Yeah.
Right.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, and just that. Now you're getting to bed earlier, so everything compounds, right? Because you're getting to bed earlier, not having the late night snacks.
Yeah.
You're more likely to get to the gym because you got time to do that. You've got time to do your own thinking, to write your gratitude, to do your affirmations, which again sounds weird if you don't understand it, right? To the masses, but affirmations is like it's everything. There's a whole chapter in Think and Grow Rich on that.
So you read books in this. Like what happens in this call? Like what is
so the first 20 minutes of the call?
Yeah.
We read. So I'll ask for volunteers,
okay.
and those that want to read will raise their hand, and they'll take turns.
This is on a Zoom. This is
in
person
on a Zoom
on
call.
a Zoom. Okay.
So they'll read for a paragraph or two. They'll say pass, and the next person picks up,
okay.
and then reads from there. So it gives you that sense, that synergy, right? That harmony in the community, and I'm highlighting as we read, and then I'll go back and dig more deeply. Because if you read these books, there's a lot of things that, from our level of awareness when we're reading them, we might not understand what's being said, and we might not internalize it, right? So to connect examples from our personal lives, from my business life, past experiences, that kind of summarizes or explains it differently. And that's where people, I think, find that it resonates with them, right? But like you, I was never a morning person. I'd get to bed at 1, 2 in the morning, I'd complain about my results, right? I'd say I didn't have time. And then now I get up at 5 o'clock. Actually now with the daylight savings, even though it's New Year's, I'm still adjusting.
Yeah, of course.
Wow, you take a while.
I'm up at 4 a.m., man. Like it's automatic. Saturday, Sunday comes, I'm up automatically.
And what time do you go to bed?
I try to be in bed sleeping by 10:30 the latest.
Right.
Sometimes it doesn't happen.
Yeah, that is your dinner.
That's your dinner time. Right?
No, it's just like, again, like, that's the proper way of doing it. And I think we had a conversation when you do things like that. So if you're going to bed early, then let's say you're not drinking, you're not out, and those things will result into few other choices you make that combined will affect your entire life in a long term.
Like, you like get off the roller coaster essentially. You're like, okay, this is how it's supposed to be, and you're excited, and you wake up for your life because you're excited about it.
Right. So you're more likely to do the things in line with that lifestyle, right? So you went to the gym, you're not going to smash a burger at lunch. You probably choose something a little more nutritious, or you will. But yeah, it compounds into other things. So James Clear he wrote the book Atomic Habits. He talks about habit stacking and how habits compound, and like you get into one thing and it'll form a few other habits. So, just that alone. And then the community, like it's live daily calls, right? So people ask questions, they'll have an example, or they'll, tie that example, what we read, to their life. So you hear it from different people. I do a mastermind call once a month with the community. Masterminds alone are worth like just showing up for that, right? So it's really, look, we have a conscious and a subconscious mind, all right? Conscious mind is where we gain information. It's like where you're hearing this information right now. And we may want something, we may want to change something, we may want to change a habit. You know, I used to lose my cool, I used to lose my temper, right? And I swear to God, every time I lost my temper, I would never lose it like that again. And then, sure enough, something would happen and I'd lose my cool, right? And then I didn't like the way it felt, I hated myself for doing it. And I swear to God that I was never going to lose my temper again, and I meant it, but then something again would happen. It wasn't until the repetition of new ideas that changed the existing pattern of thinking, right? Our existing programming, which is in the subconscious mind. All the doing is in the subconscious. And I had no awareness of this, right? So as you start to understand the mind, the conscious, the subconscious mind, conscious is where we do our thinking, subconscious is where the feelings are, that drives you into action. And by the way you take action, you're going to get a result. And then you get the results to now
different feeling.
Start thinking about, right? So if you start doing different things, you get a different result, it starts changing your mind. And you can flip that in a number of different ways. So that's the importance of the daily call, right? Like you're getting the repetition of these new ideas so that the positive thinking, which again, I think is something that most people don't understand. It's not enough to say, think positive, or we're going to win, or we're going to get the deal, we're going to get you have to understand certain laws and then live by that as being the truth, right? And by doing that, you change your mind, which changes your results. So everything starts first in the mind, then the body, right? As within, so without. So yeah, people get really excited because now they're understanding things. Now they're understanding why I failed, why this isn't going right, why I keep getting the same result, why I'm doing the thing I don't want to be doing. And as they start to understand that, they see light at the end of the tunnel. Now, things don't start to change sometimes right away. Sometimes they can. But other times you need the repetition, right? You need the constant reminder every day.
No, I like that because you always talk about the conscious and subconscious mind. And for that whole concept and the examples to sink in, I know, like, you talk like going through different books, let's say, Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
Like over there, you kept on using the actual examples over there, and the repetition of the concepts actually help you understand things in your life. One thing I wanted to talk to you about was a lot of people are talking about the growth mindset, right, and the limiting beliefs. How would you recommend anyone? Let's say right now, like we're realtors, right? And a lot of people are of the mindset, okay, right now is not the market that you can grow, or there are certain things. There's 80,000 agents right now. Like there's no way you can, be the top agent, or you can grow a business, or that's not even a business to be in. So using that as an example, how would you
break down that feeling, essentially, that barrier?
Yeah, I think first of all, you got to understand, or at least become aware, that anybody who has succeeded has done so because of having a right mindset. And there's many of them that did it during the worst of times, right? Like if it was true that there was no opportunity because there's so many people in the market is saturated, then nobody would be having the business. So really it's a lack of belief in ourselves, right? Because you heard of the quote, there's people less talented than you that are doing the things you want to do simply because they believe that they can do it. Now, it's one thing to hear that, feels good, but then to live by that, to understand it. So first step, I think, open up your mind. You got to have an open mind. Then you got to start to work on yourself. And the better you get, the better everything in your life gets. Because again, it's the thoughts that we think. It's thoughts, feelings, actions, results. So if we're already starting off with the negative thought, oh, the market's saturated, there's too many realtors, the market's down, whatever, then what kind of action are we going to perform? Like, why would you bother? You don't believe you're going to get anything from it, right? But if, like, Wallace D. Wattles in his book, Science of Getting Rich, which is the book that inspired the movie The Secret, he says in there, to think what you want to think is to think truth. And he put a capital T in there. To think truth in spite of appearances, which means whatever you think is going to become your truth. That's what's going to manifest in your life. And whatever you can think positive thoughts, regardless of what's going on, because we've been trained and we've been programmed to live through our senses. So we emotionalize what we hear, see, smell, taste, and touch, right? We see the bank account statement, It causes negative thinking. Oh my God, I'm broke. How am I going to pay the bills? We're being told to live in abundance or whatever, an abundant mindset. But
you're like, I'm spending, but who's going to pay this?
Right. So now you're emotionalizing that statement, or you're emotionalizing the deal that fell apart, or the market, or the saturated 80,000 agents that are in the real estate game, right? And the client that didn't answer the door, or the slammed your. But if you can think your truth, which is there's a huge opportunity in this market. People need my advice. I'm going to make those human connections. I need to knock on 50 doors to get one client that will welcome me. Whatever that is the truth. Our problem is we let the current situations dictate or cause our thinking. And when you understand, we don't have time to get into vibration and attraction.
Yes, I love that.
But the thoughts that you think
this is for me this fall.
cause you to feel something. The feeling's the vibration.
Yeah.
You're going to take action based on the way you're feeling and on that frequency, on that vibration. That action's going to get you a result, and that result now is going to cause your thinking. So if we're looking at our present results, a lot of people don't have the results that they want to have. Those are the things that are causing their thinking. So it's the first cause of where we're creating from, which is our thoughts, which is why it's important to have a goal, to know where you want to go no matter what, right? Always have a vision. You hear Arnold Schwarzenegger talk about that. You've heard Jim Carrey's story. You hear Matthew McConaughey. The more you hear Jennifer, everybody's talking about this. Oprah Winfrey, huge into this, right? And they're all saying the same thing. Actually, every person that's ever stood up and achieved something, and you can hear all of these lessons through what they're saying. And the saddest part about this, we hear it,
we don't do it,
and we go on with our lives the way it's always been. Frustrated. People don't need to be suffering the way they are. And it just takes a little bit more effort, and it's not even more effort. You're just switching one habit for another.
Yeah.
Like you're trading in something for something of greater value, right? So if
you gotta want it though, right?
Oh, absolutely. And why wouldn't you want it? This is my life. I'm only here for and they say life is short. No, it's long. It's way too long to live in a way that you don't want to be living it. In the body you don't want to be in the financial situation you don't want to be in the relationship you want. Why wouldn't we want to learn more about ourselves? The more you learn about yourself, the more you gain understanding. The understanding leads to faith. Now I have faith based on understanding. I'm taking a very different action. It's very different than blind faith, where I don't know nothing about myself, nothing about the power that everybody says we all have within. We have all this unlimited potential, but they don't teach us this. So it starts with a goal, starts getting impressed on the subconscious mind, getting emotionally involved with that goal, focusing. We have these higher mental faculties. We've got the will, which gives us the ability to focus on something. Now I can choose to focus on the bad side of something or the good side of something. I can choose to focus on what I want, my goal, or what I don't want, wherever I lead. And whatever you focus on is what you're going to get more of in your life, right? The only thing that can grow is that which you give energy to. And everything in this universe has two sides to it. It's the law of polarity. Up, down. You can't have an in without an out. You can't have a hot without a cold. You can't have a good without a bad. You can't have a negative without a positive. You take any situation, and I know a lot of people probably get triggered by this, but there's good in everything. In the most traumatic situation, there is a seed of an equivalent advantage. Napoleon Hill says that in Think and Grow Rich. It says, for every adversity, every heartbreak, every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent or greater advantage. I wouldn't believe that at first, but I've talked to people who lost a parent to domestic violence, whose mother was murdered. I've talked to people who lost a young child. I've talked to people who have gone bankrupt, and they may not have seen it at first. At first, you're probably not going to see any good in the situation.
You're just seeing what's happening.
Right, but there's been people like the person who lost their son or daughter to somebody who was driving drunk, started MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. So although that doesn't bring back the person or make it good, it is what it is. Like, we can't change that, but we can take it, and there's an equal and opposite. Like, imagine how many people she has saved because of the awareness that she brought as a result of having lost her child in that situation, right? So if we get this, we get it on a grander scale and at the internal level where we can actually live by this. Because a passing thought hearing this right now may cause a shift in the way you're feeling.
For the moment, yeah.
Right? But then tomorrow morning we got to wake up and we're on autopilot 95% of the time with our current programming that is controlling the way we think, right? Looking for evidence to support what you already believe to be true. And we just get the same result. When you start to hear new information, like for me, it is shocking where people hear this and they're like, yeah, I don't have the time.
But that's why I like that you brought in the subconscious and conscious mind, because it actually shows that there's like a physiological effect.
There's science behind all of this.
Right? And I'm a big believer of it, so I'm like listening to you and I'm like loving everything you're saying. But to the people that don't, they're like, okay, think and believe and do and result. And it's like, but you have the science kind of that backs it up, which is nice.
So I think the problem with a lot of the speakers, and especially when you hear vibration and attraction, some people probably already shut off their tuner right now because I said vibration and attraction.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people speaking about it that don't understand it. And or maybe they're trying to sell it off as like, oh, you can sit there on your couch, think about something positive and it's going to come into your life, right? It's all about action. And we have to understand how the action ties into the thoughts that we think and the vibration that you're in, what you're expecting. So talking about science, there's science to support all of this, like the reticular activating system. It is going to bring to your attention only the things that you've already programmed subconscious mind to think is important. Which is, they talk about the car example. You've seen a car at the dealership for the first time. You're like, oh my God, I love this car.
And now?
You're driving home and you see 17 of them. Well, they were always there. You just weren't aware of them, right? So you can't think thoughts of solutions when you're on a frequency of scarcity or problems, right? You can't see positives if you're constantly focusing on that. And listen, the reason why I'm so passionate and why I understand this so much is because my life for the first 40 years, I was ungrateful. I used to complain like crazy. I was a victim, right? I used to say if there's no such thing as bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. Do you know how much my life changed in like that first year?
What caused the change?
Well, I think the problem we have, all problems we have across everything, is ignorance. I was ignorant. I didn't know. Like, there's things you know, right? You know that
you don't know what you don't
that's
know.
a laptop. You know that that's a camera, right? You know that I'm standing here or sitting here. Then there's things you don't know. I don't know how to perform open heart surgery, right? I don't know how to bake a cake. But then there's things I don't know that I don't know. And I didn't know about conscious, subconscious mind. I didn't know that there's a law of polarity that ensures that everything has a good, and then that combined with what I give energy to, right? My ability to focus on something is going to grow in my life. So I didn't know that by focusing on the negatives, I was bringing more of those things into my life. So it was all a lack of awareness.
You did like a little test and it worked?
A test?
You did a little test.
You know how many tests I had?
We all did the little test.
Oh,
Come on.
and that's the other thing.
We all did the little test.
Everything's a win or a lesson. So yeah, I still get tested, right? And it's in those experiences where, without realizing, there's tests, absolutely. And I realized that I can connect the dots and tell you every time I worked in harmony with these laws, and there's more than polarity, and there's law of relativity, and there's a law of perpetual transmutation of energy, vibration and attraction. There's the law of cause and effect. Oh my God, that's huge, cause and effect, right? You know the Newton's cradle?
No,
you know that
100%.
thing where you swing the one ball and one ball goes out the other way? Well, I was swinging one ball and I was complaining that I wasn't getting 5 balls of results, right? What did I do? I started to do more. I started to work on myself. I started to build processes in my business. I changed the way I was communicating. I got to know my products and lenders a lot better. And like that, like in a short period of time, I 5 times my income. My income had been the same for years, and all of a sudden, just like that, all that victim mentality went away, and I was at the cause and I saw how I had been at the cause of all the clients that I had before leaving for the 5 basis point, like all the stuff I used to complain about.
You were like, it's me.
Yeah, it was all me. And until you take 100% responsibility for everything in your life, nothing's going to change. You'll always be the victim. And you give up your power when you blame and complain. If I'm blaming that circumstance, I'm blaming that situation, I'm blaming my environment, I'm blaming the person, I'm giving away my power. I can't control what happened to me, but I can control what I do with what happened, right? And it's all in my perception. We talk about working out, right? The gym for the mind. So the wake-up call is the gym for the mind. We call it that because for me, that's what it is. How many times have you heard you gotta work out your mind? You have to exercise your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, last time I checked, I went to the gym and there was no universal gym.
Yeah, they don't talk about it.
There was no bench press for my brain.
Yeah.
There was no like arm curls for my left whatever,
Frontal
right?
lobe.
Right. We have to understand how you work out the mind, and we have these higher mental faculties: perception, the will, imagination, intuition, reason, and memory. Those are the things that are faculties that constitute thinking. Our paradigm in the subconscious mind, our programming, the things that we didn't really choose, our belief system, our self-image, our paradigm is in control of how we think, how we use those higher mental faculties. So I didn't have the ability to focus, right? I say I'm going to do this, and then the phone rings, and I'm answering the phone, right? Just that.
He's nodding because.
Yeah, because we're all guilty of
Yeah.
it. But I never knew we had this faculty of the will that gives us the ability to focus on something to the exclusion of whatever is going on outside of us.
Oh, you didn't know that?
Well, I did. I just didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to focus, right? Like, until you bring awareness to it, how to use your memory to remember the things that you want to remember, or to go into the future and create that goal and then remember your goal instead of the deal that just fell apart. Like, these things are huge. They're everything. So why would we choose to remain ignorant? So to answer
the
your
will,
question,
man.
study yourself like a surgeon. A surgeon, before they can go and put a knife to somebody's body, they got to really study and pass all this examination, right? Well, why wouldn't I study my life, myself, my mind, and the laws that govern everything in this universe to the degree that I would if I wanted to perform open heart surgery? Understanding is everything. The problem we have is ignorance. So to answer your question in a 15-minute answer, it's that, man.
That's true, and I think I heard that. I think Jim Rohn is who says, before you can work on someone else, you got to work on yourself.
Yeah.
And you should be like of the mentality of I'm gonna work on myself for you to help you, because there's no way you
Rumi
can.
said, the only thing I can do for you is work on myself. The only thing you can do for me is work on yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't know, I think it was maybe Jim Rohn who also said the greatest investment you'll ever make is in yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Again, we hear these things, but it doesn't apply to me. It doesn't apply to me.
It
It applies
just
to
goes over your
Nima. It
head,
applies
right?
to...
Until something
But
clicks.
you know what? Even if it clicks, what I find is that, okay, right now you watch a movie, you hear someone talks about it, you're like, okay, you get up and leave, and that's it.
Yeah.
When are you going to practice it? What I found with 5 a.m. Club was that, okay, you know what? You sit down, you listen to that, you're like, okay, maybe that day doesn't click. Next day you come back, it will click. If it doesn't click, then you're there 5 days a week getting reminded. I found out for myself, like, a lot of times you talk about something, I even write it down, but when am I
It's
going
like
to even
instilled.
read that note?
Yeah.
I got pages of notes, but I never had the time to go back and read it. But every time you bring it up, after like probably 10 times, it kind of got programmed into me. And as you say, you know what, like, take full responsibility for things that happen. Like, a lot of things were happening in our business back in COVID. And for me, I was like, okay, I'm going to blame the builder, I'm going to blame the office, I'm going to blame someone else. No, like, go back, work on it yourself, because it's
Figure
your
it out.
responsibility.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned there. But the funny thing is, I've been told that 100 times. You've heard that, like, from ever since I was born, I kept hearing it, oh, you got to take full responsibility. Well, what does that mean? But I think just hearing it the way you broke it down and hearing it every day is what makes the difference.
And being well surrounded. I think the community was a big one
Oh,
for you because you're
amazing.
big on community.
Community's huge.
And when you show up and other people are like in line and doing and acting and being the way that you guys are all discussing, it kind of keeps you accountable.
Yeah.
You're like,
People
okay,
would
I
open
gotta
up and share some incredible things that really cause you to connect more deeply. And it's
Yeah.
a space where,
feel safe.
it's 5 o'clock in the morning. There's people showing up, their hair's not done, their makeup's not done. They're showing up as they are, right? There's no judgment, there's no criticism.
He's trying to recruit me.
There's no
Well, of course,
competition.
He's
it's
trying to
like-
I'm
recruit
just
me.
saying, like, the
my
community
hair
is
done.
hugely important. But, to your point, we've heard, or I don't know, you may have heard, that you don't see the world as it is, you see the world as you are, right?
That's very true.
In the same way, I can only receive from a conversation
What you're looking at.
what I'm capable of receiving. Like, if you're broadcasting the news on 680, but I want to hear Zeppelin, but I'm tuned into I can only hear 6/8 the news, right? I can't get frustrated that they're not playing Drake.
Yeah.
They don't play that there. Okay, so if I'm in a state, if I'm already, I have my belief system, I'm going to filter out whatever the conversation is, because you could put 1,000 people, have them listen to this conversation, they're all going to hear something different, or some of them are going to hear something different, right?
Yeah.
You're going to hear it through your current level of awareness. So I've read certain books, I've read them over a dozen times. Bob Proctor shared that he read Think and Grow Rich for 67 years, right? Every time I go back to that book, it's a different book for me, because I've raised my level of awareness. I have a better understanding, or I'm paying attention at different parts. Like, if you ever watch a movie and you watch the movie 30 times, you're like, how come I don't remember this scene? I've seen this movie 30 times, I don't remember this.
You're not dialed in, yeah.
Yep.
Because you go on a train of thought, right? You're on autopilot. Now you're on a train of thought. Whatever's happening is still happening. You're not hearing it. So by hearing it every day, you're more likely to hear whatever you've missed repetitively to the point that you can actually remember it. But it's that. I couldn't take from some of these lessons from where I was at that point in time. I had to go through some other experiences, some other lessons. And then when I'd hear that lesson again, it resonated more. It meant something to me. I connected at a subconscious level. Now I got it.
Exactly.
And then even after I think I got it, I'll hear it again after, and it'll be like,
Gets
holy
deeper.
snow, this is even like, so the idea that you can't know it all, that there's always more, that will never ever be finished, will always be a work in process, right? Like that, the idea of achieving one goal and immediately setting another, that to me is exciting. I think at one point in my life I would have been demoralized and depressed about that idea. What do you mean I'm never going to get there? All this work and I'm never going to get there? That means it truly is.
You never stop
infinite.
working on yourself, yeah?
Yeah. So I've made a commitment that I will be working on myself until the day I step into my grave. And
Yay.
this call for me, like as much as people get, I get even more, because I'm forced to show up every day. And because of that, they say one person teaches, two people learn, right? And I'm so grateful for that. It's incredible. And you know what?
Amazing.
Gratitude, man, will change a life. Like if you're going to take one thing, I know we haven't talked about it, but if you can get in the practice of just writing down gratitude, 10 things you're grateful for every single day, write things you're grateful for that you have, right? So, but you have to feel it. Like, I'm grateful that I have my sight, or I'm grateful for the car that got me home, or grateful for my kid that gave me a hug this morning. But you got to actually feel the gratitude, right? Like, it's all in the feeling. Feeling's the vibration. I think a lot of people know that they should be grateful, but
they're
then
so angry.
they're not actually feeling it, right? Be grateful for things that haven't happened yet. Because if you know that you have the idea, so let's say you have a goal that hasn't happened yet, be grateful for the fact that it's happening, or that it's already happened. Because if you have the idea, you have it. When you understand the laws, there's laws that govern the movement of that invisible energy to the physical form. And then the third thing, and the most important thing, is being grateful for the crap, for the bad things.
Yeah.
Right? And that's, I think, where the real magic is, because gratitude is basically getting in the habit or practicing finding the good in everything. Any idiot can tell me what's wrong with the situation. I need somebody to think and tell me what's good.
It's like, what can I learn from this? Something I always ask
And
myself.
when you go into boardrooms, when you go into any meeting, when you're talking to successful people, you know what they all have in common? They're talking
Getting
about
to
what's possible.
yeah.
They're talking about the solution. Okay,
How can
got
we
it.
push
That's the
this
problem. All right. What's the solution? Right? What's the good in it? That changes everything.
No, that's amazing. As you were saying, talking about being grateful. So those are affirmations, I'm guessing. You're talking about.
Not necessarily affirmations, just writing down
it.
things you're grateful for.
Okay.
An affirmation would be more like habit forming,
Okay.
or a belief maybe that you need to change. Because again, when you understand, there's a chapter, if you have the book Think and Grow Rich, if you don't, go buy it. Best book ever. Chapter 4, autosuggestion. It talks about the importance of autosuggestion, repeating the thing that you want until it becomes automatic. You know, I explained before, I used to lose my temper. Well, the only way I changed that habit of flying off the handle was every day I wrote out an affirmation, in a sense. I wrote out a chapter called Serenity. And that gave me a picture. I didn't understand it at the time, but it developed an image of me as a calm, serene individual, somebody who never reacted, that was always approachable, who was non-judgmental, non-critical, that was well-trusted, People sought my advice, and when I started writing that, I was not that person, okay? But by the repetition of that idea, that image of me as that person became like my guide. So when I'd get that trigger to maybe react, I would hear the words in that, calmness of mind is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom. It is the result of long and patient effort and self-control.
It's like your mantra.
Yeah. So like if you think about that, I paid a price. It took me half an hour to write this out every single day for 90 days. Most people will not do that. You have no idea how much I've benefited from that. You look at the top performing athletes. Kobe Bryant was in the gym before any of his players were, right? They'd go to breakfast. This guy would already be sweating. They'd be complaining about how early it was. Tiger Woods, he'd be going out to the driving range after he just shot his tournament round. Guys are saying, hey, come have a beer. He'd be like, no, I'm going to the driving range. But do you know how much these people benefited from that type of work? It was work on themselves, right? And that's what translates to a different action. The fact that I have the idea, I'm going to start going to the gym, or I'm going to not react as much as I do, or I'm going to start putting my shoes away at the front closet, whatever.
It's like the New Year's
It's not going to
resolution.
change. You're going to forget. So you got to really get it in the subconscious mind, and the only way to do that is by repetition.
So, as 2024 starts, let's say, what would be the few pointers you would give to someone, let's say, every morning, like a routine to repeat in order to improve themselves?
First and foremost, I would say gratitude. Second thing, if there is maybe one or two things that you want to change about yourself, this is a one-time exercise, okay? You write it out as it is. I set my alarm because I want to wake up early, and then when the alarm goes off, I sleep in. I don't get to the gym, and then I feel terrible. So you write it out in great detail. Then you burn that paper, and now you rewrite that statement how you want it to be, the situation. So happy and grateful, now that I wake up, when my alarm goes off, I get up. I'm full of energy, I'm productive, I get my workouts in, I feel great, whatever that is. Yeah. That's a one-time exercise. From that one exercise, you're going to take one or two actions from that new description, and you're going to create an affirmation. I'm so happy and grateful now that I wake up. When my alarm goes off, I get up. And you're going to just write that 100 times a day if you can. Right? 10 times a day, whatever you can do that you're actually going to do.
That's the step I'm missing.
And keep reminding yourself of it.
Yeah.
And one day, you're just going to finally do it. But
because you're tired of writing it down.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Yeah, and then I know we don't have a lot of time, but then we talk about willpower. People don't understand willpower. Willpower doesn't last. Willpower will get you going, right? But it's not enough to keep fighting against the existing program. You got to change the program. If you have a program for something, it's easy. You drive a car? It's easy.
It drives itself practically.
Right. Even if you don't have an autopilot in your car.
No, it's like I drive my.
Yeah, you put your makeup on, you eat a sandwich, you're on the phone, and you get to the office. You don't even know how you got there.
No, yeah.
But was it easy for you when you started driving the car? You had to, where's the gear stick? Where's the, I know.
I'm joking.
But where's the signal switch? What happens? And you're
confused.
You were literally stressing about every single move you made because you didn't have a program for it.
Panicking.
By the repetition of driving that car every day, and
now you know where everything is.
Yeah, it becomes automatic. Yeah. And that's our behavior. So if it's easy for you, it's because you have a program. People that go to the gym, who have been going for years, they don't wake up and go, should I go to the gym today? They just get up and they go. It's automatic, it's not difficult because they have a program for it. But it started with a new idea that they had to start doing. By repetition, it became automatic. So often we quit before it becomes automatic. If it's difficult for you, it's because you don't have a program to support it. It's that simple. And when you understand that, when you understand that, now it's not, I'm not my failure. It doesn't matter. Everything in my life right now is a result of my previous way of thinking and my previous actions. It has nothing to do with what I'm capable of. Where most people live with, that's all I'm capable of. That's why I'm a failure. But inside, we all know. That's why we're frustrated. We know we're capable of more. Right? We're spiritual.
You must be such a good dad.
We could ask my kids, so they use words like,
my wife.
cringe, right? No, but
one day it's
I
gonna
think
really
they don't
benefit.
get it, but then sometimes I'll read their assignment or they'll respond in a way and I'm like,
you see it.
They're getting it.
Yeah.
Right?
So just to recap, so the things you said. So affirmations in the morning, great. Being write down what you're grateful for.
Gratitude. Get on the
what-
wake-up call, 1,000,000%, or
Yeah, get up on the wake up call.
or start reading something
Wake
where
up
you're going
early.
to learn about
That's your
yourself.
start.
And then the other one was write down something you want to change, burn it, and then
Yeah.
write down what-
So write down the new habit that you want to form. So
Yeah.
gratitude, the affirmation, which is that statement that you've taken
Yeah.
from that new description. And if you can include meditation, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, absolutely go for a walk, get to the
Yeah.
gym if you can,
do that. And get up on 5 a.m. call.
wake up an
That's-
hour earlier, no matter
Yeah.
what time you're waking up right now, whether you get on the call. And just for the record, there are people who watch the recording. So all of our calls are recorded to
Oh.
a private Facebook group.
Okay.
So there's people that actually watch
So
them
let's
when
actually
they
talk
wake up.
about that towards right now, towards the end of this. So 5 a.m. club, it's happening Monday to Thursday.
Monday
Monday to Thursday's 5 a.m. club. Starts from 5. It goes all the way to around like 6:30ish.
So the call is Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
But Fridays is a
Type
different
of-
type of call. We don't read on Fridays. I have
Yeah.
a guest on, or
Yeah.
somebody takes the hot seat, or I do a
Cool.
lesson of some sort. So the membership gets you Monday to Friday. The call actually officially starts at 5:30.
Yeah.
The Zoom call opens up at 5 for people that want to come in and write their gratitude or whatever,
Yeah.
and just kind of get settled in. We read for an hour, so we go from 5:30 to 6:30. I've gotten much better at ending the call at 6:30 now. And then we end it with a meditation sometimes. So somebody will lead us through a 5-minute, 10-minute
Yeah.
meditation. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's one of the members. So
Yeah.
that does that. And then that's it, man. Then we go tear it up, conquer the
how-
world.
And if someone wants to join
I
it,
was just gonna say,
what's
how does
the
someone get in
yeah.
touch with you?
How does someone get in touch with
Joe
you?
at joetrimboli.com.
We're putting it down there.
Yeah.
5 a.m. _ wake up call is the Instagram handle, and I believe that's the YouTube handle as well.
Okay.
But you'll find us.
Just get in touch with Joe if you'd like to join it. Definitely, I recommend it. I'll probably have to get back on it.
I was gonna say,
Oh
you'll
my
see
God.
Nima there.
After this conversation,
Now you
After this
have no
conversation, I have no
choice.
choice not to.
No choice.
No, seriously, like I miss it. It was great. I mean, like I saw a huge change. Like honestly, you know it. Like we had the conversation a few times. It was really changing, like what I went through, and then I started showing up there, and it was amazing. And I don't know why I fell off the wagon, but getting back on it. But
everything's got its time, man. You know what? The reality is, when I was on that call before it became the wake up call, when I was on the call with my 3 buddies, you know how many calls I missed? How many times I got on and off?
I don't know how you do it.
It's
You've
all
been
part of
doing
the
this for,
process.
4 years, 5
I have,
years
yeah,
now,
man. I
nonstop.
haven't missed a call.
And yeah,
Good.
that's amazing. I love
Because
it.
it's something that's important to you.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
And you know what? That's the thing with accountability too. So that's another thing you can do, is make yourself accountable to. I'm accountable to my community.
Yeah, you gotta show up.
I have no choice but to show up. I never really understood that in any of my other jobs, or but this, absolutely, I can't wait to show up and share with.
That's
with everybody
amazing.
on
Joe,
Love
I
it.
think I gotta have you in back another time because I got a ton
There's
of
so
other
much more.
questions, but we gotta do it
You didn't
another.
know-
We gotta break
you
it
didn't
up
know
now.
It takes me a half an hour to answer a question. Listen, I go deep
Yeah.
We got
with
stuck
the
on the first
answers.
question, but I love it. I love it.
You know,
Segment 1
the
of
law of
5.
polarity will end it like this. Law of polarity, everything is equal and opposite. So the better the question, the better the answer. So you ask good questions, you get good answers.
Amazing. I love it.
Thanks.
Buddy, thanks for coming.
Awesome.
Love
Thanks
it.
for being
And
part of it.
Thank you.
guys, hope everyone enjoyed their new year. Make sure to hit up Joe for, you also do
Thinking into Results, a coaching program. Yeah.
So you definitely gotta check his website out. We're gonna put all the information below.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Thanks for coming.
guys, before we go, let's make sure to watch the last episode with Sal Zambito.
From
about-
Bongo Group.
Yeah, talking about landscaping and how to improve your house.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see you next time.
Have an incredible start to the year. All the best.
Cheers.